really excited about this interview specifically because a lot of people don't know that Klara and I have a long history together.
Uh-huh.
And so Klara is someone I actually like vividly remember where I was when I enrolled you into
Oh, really?
I was in the park in Lake Eola in downtown Orlando. And like you were having the like kind of last minute nerves before getting going in traffic and funnels. And then
Uh-huh.
we sorted it, we handled it, and then you jumped in and the journey there was fun, and it's been fun throughout. Kind of this is now our third time working together.
I know. It was that first enrollment was so amazing. I'm still surprised you were able to enroll me. I was so skeptical.
I know. I remember you being like, my goal is to get to what was it, $7,000 a month, $7,500 a month. I'm like, oh man,
8,000, because that would be 100,000 in a year, and that was so amazing.
yeah. Now here you are, we're doing 20 some odd in a week. So it's pretty cool to see that journey and how big of a transformation it's been.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And I know like one of the things too, I definitely want to talk about with you while we're here is some of the challenges we had in getting you off the phones the first time that we had tried working together. What's shifted? Because I think that's going to be particularly something that would really serve the people here. So I guess for starters, just give the people kind of a general introduction as to who you are, what you do, and sort of how that has evolved from that first conversation and where you were there to kind of where you are now.
Thank you. That's 3 years. Long story. I started out actually with a different offer because in my mind, it has to be a professional thing, right? It was fun, but I couldn't get it to the cold enrolling. I started all over. And then I saw somebody else doing dating. And I thought, wow, that's fun if you can do dating like this. So that was literally 3 years ago to the day that I started my dating offer on the 11th of May.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think it was the day I enrolled the first client into it. And it has been such a journey to really, that whole enrollment procedure, to get that going, to get the right women on the phones, to really see my niche. I love working with CEOs, women in the C-suite level, but to actually have the guts to stand for that and go for that was the whole thing. And actually, your emails have really helped, Mike. I wanted to say that here. People
That's awesome.
Read those emails from Mike and do what he says.
Wait, any like one or two things that really you took, implemented?
Well, this one was one thing, right? To really niche down and be very clear about who you're working for and get your marketing dialed in. That was one of the things that I got from there. Another thing, what was it again? Like, you need a system, not a guru, right? They shouldn't be coming for me. They should be coming for a system.
Yes.
So to really systemize what I'm doing and talk about it in that way. Got that from you?
Love it. And for anyone who's here with us and you're listening, just to kind of give you an idea as to what Klara meant on those two things, is like, everyone knows that you need to have a niche or that you need to have an avatar that's clearly defined. It's just taking it to that level of specificity that oftentimes we don't do. And I know with you made some shifts, even like, because initially it was, I help women find love or find the love of their life, which your academy is the Love for Life Academy. And then how have you taken that and narrowed it even further from that point where it was just generally women, and now I know you've kind of niched down even more?
Yeah. Well, as I said, to really specifically name the CEO, see the CEO before me in everything that I do, that has been very important and so much fun because I'm the CEO myself now. Right? So that really fits on all level, you know, we CEOs have to be able to speak from that space. So that's been really fun. But what's also so much fun is just, you know, trusting myself more. My approach to dating is different from what everybody else is doing. All my clients tell me that, like, wow, what we learn here is so different. And just to trust that more. And I think that does come over time, right? Just to really trust what I am doing and that I don't try to be like everybody else.
So in moving into a system and a CEO type of role, right, where it's not necessarily like, I feel like sometimes when you're the coach, right, and you're the self-employed coach, especially, which a lot of the people in here are going to be in that sort of realm. And I know that you, in coming to the live event, really made a big distinction between what it is to be the self-employed coach and what it is to be the CEO role. And then having clarity on those roles, and sometimes you evolve and you move between them, but you know the role boundaries more clearly. What were some of those challenges that you found in navigating those boundaries, and specifically moving more into a process and moving more into stepping into your CEO power?
I think for me, Mike, the biggest thing was to have a vision of leadership, what kind of leader I wanted to be. I come from a time when, you know, leaders were very authority figures, which is not my style. So that was always friction. And one of the things I loved at the event was when you demonstrated that daily huddle. That was a turning point for me. I remember before I was a bit like, well, CEO, it makes me so much more money, but will it be more fun? And then you demonstrate the daily huddle with Cody and the team, and I was like, oh, wait, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And our daily huddles now, they are the highlights of the day. For me, my team, all of us love it.
Yeah, it's interesting too. They like, so many of the people that we work with when it comes to huddles, they resist it. But then once they do it, it almost becomes very grounding in a way. Like that's sort of your anchor to everything.
Yeah. It's amazing. The connection it gives, the support, you know, in the dating space, there's a lot of emotions going around, right? When you do an enrollment and somebody doesn't enroll and you feel, you know, the pain that's behind her, that touches you deeply. So to have a space where you can really be supported for all those things in our business, that's really important. And we have that now with each other. And that's so lovely.
It's true. It's unique too with the dating space because people are bringing so many stories to it. And oftentimes when they're going through the sales process with you guys, they're reliving a lot of deeply traumatic experiences, or they're projecting those deeply traumatic experiences into the future. And that's partly why they're working with you at the end of the day, but it's also why they're stuck in the first place. And so it's so easy as the enrollment coach, and in order like to guide someone through that, sometimes it's easy to get sold on those stories and to meet them where they are instead of standing for that potential that they have. And then it's easy as well to take those emotions and then like I feel like a lot of people in enrollment tend to be empaths, and as an empath you really carry those emotions, and then it like it starts to do something to you in a way where if you don't have support mechanisms, it could really become something that almost is dangerous, especially to the enrollment and your like personal well-being at times.
It's very intense process, and then a system is so important, right? Both the support and the system, to really know what you're doing on the call, and to know to go in deeply but not to go in too deeply. And to keep your eye on what's going to happen. I just, before we went on the call, I opened Facebook. Can I just read the post of one of my clients? My heart is pounding when I think of us this morning. Him, mine too.
Love that. That's cool.
This is such a big thing when the women find the courage to start sending these direct messages and then seeing that the man actually like it. And when we keep focused on that, right, the change that we're bringing, then it becomes so much easier to deal with all the challenges.
That's cool. Hey, I like that. Katie and Natalie are both here. They're both on your team, and both of them said our
Hi
daily huddles
Katie,
are
hi
amazing,
Natalie.
and I love our huddles. And so I guess one of the questions I have for you is, what do you feel like? Because I know you've tried to hire enrollment coaches before, and I know that in those situations, very often you weren't doing huddles. What did you feel like now that you've been able to see the difference? Like, what were you missing out on, or what were the problems that were occurring without the huddles that maybe you couldn't see that now you have them, you can start to see more clearly?
Yeah, good question. It was, of course, more than the huddles. I tend to want to have everything good, right? And then there were these little things that you have to agree upon, like, for instance, very practical things. When somebody makes an enrollment, but it's a split pay. Do you pay the rep everything up front or just half? Little things, but I would get upset over it, right? And then you have those frictions and they just build up. And just, I feel having Cody and all of you behind me, it's such, so grounding. It's just a solid ground on which we can, come with all our emotions and intensity. So that's one thing that I think is really different. Another thing is, of course, I'm in a very different place. I'm much more clear on what we're doing. The system is up. But also with those huddles, it's much quicker and much more fun if I see that Natalie or Katie is just slightly getting off track and too enthusiastic about one thing, forgetting another thing. We have such a direct connection also with the Slack. So I see it quickly. I can help them, recalibrate. And it's fun, so much support.
Have you noticed a difference also in having, where you went through our process now, which is, I know in the past you would normally bring on one coach and try to get them going, and then it wouldn't work out, and you'd kind of find yourself in a situation where it's like, shoot, I got to try this over again. Have you noticed a difference in bringing on multiple people and having that process? And I'm just curious if that's there.
Yeah, thank you. I'd almost forgotten. Absolutely, because I think Moose proposed 6 to me in the end. And 4 of them were just not a good fit, right? And then it's so amazing to not have to go all the way with them and try to make it work, but it doesn't work. But to actually be able to say, sorry, but this isn't working. And then there's somebody else. I mean, it's really amazing.
It's interesting because, had that not been the case, it's so easy for ourselves to get caught up and then keep trying to make it work when it doesn't work. And I imagine there's a lot of parallels even with your clients and dating, right? Like if you only have one person, then it's like you're going to try to make a toxic relationship healthy as opposed to just finding a healthy relationship from the start.
Yeah, absolutely true. And yeah, scarcity is bad.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. No, Moose is amazing, right? The people he found for me, really amazing. And I'm so aware, right, that lots of what you were doing and what most of the coaches are doing is rooted in business, B2B. So that has often been a struggle for me, right? That the people that I would ask help with, they had never enrolled in the relationship space. But, Cody has that experience. You have some experience there. Moose was amazing in tuning in and seeing who would be a fit. So I'm totally enthusiastic about you.
Love it. And I do think that there is a big thing of what we've talked about, and maybe you mentioned it earlier in the interview, but we didn't get to highlight it in
Mm-hmm.
the level of depth that I wanted to, but it's the selling of the process, right? And
Yeah.
having a clearly documented system that solves the
Yeah.
problem, right? So it's not that Klara solves the problem and Klara is
Yeah.
amazing at the problem. So now that when I talk to Klara's enrollment specialist, I'm disappointed. It's that Klara has built the system and this system solves my
Yeah.
problem, and that it makes your results repeatable and makes your results scalable. And then
Yeah.
it's interesting because it allows other people to sell your product for you, as well as it allows other people to deliver your product for you,
Yeah.
which are both big differences. And it's hard sometimes, like when you built the product and when it's your name on the building, it's very easy to get caught up in that sense of like, but this is mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know if you have experienced these emotions, but a lot of the coaches that we work with do experience these emotions. I know I personally experience these emotions, which is when I would see people celebrating like team members sometimes in the very beginning phases, and they wouldn't say like, thanks Mike, or like, oh my God, Mike,
Mm.
so amazing. It was like,
Uh-huh.
I built this. You don't see that. And I would almost feel threatened. And I had to rewire my brain to where it was like, if they don't even know that I exist, that's the greatest compliment, right? Because that means the system
Mm-hmm.
really works. And if they're celebrating all my team members, that's also the greatest compliment, because that means
Yeah.
we as a team are cohesive and powerful, not just me as this individual that's trying to gain my
Mm-hmm.
significance, but rather like we're a team moving towards a unified direction. Did you experience any of that?
Not yet. I don't
Not
think I'm
yet.
quite at that level yet of being invisible. But I do remember it was really a very impressive moment that we were really building up, right? They needed some time, Natalie and Katie, to really get into it. But you could really feel that energy building, the confidence building, the skill building. So I remember one night going to sleep and really feeling like, I hope the first enrollment comes tonight. But if it doesn't, it's okay because I know it's coming. And then I woke up and Katie had enrolled the first client. And within 24 hours, Natalie enrolled the second. And I thought that was so telling, right? It's not just a person, but it's a system. The system was ready. All three of us were ready. And then it just clicked. And that was our 25K in 5 days, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, and what I wanted to say, sorry, was that actually Natalie pointed out to me, like, Klara, you created a system now that works for us. And I was repeating it the whole day afterwards, like, yeah, I created a system, I created a system.
it's so cool. It's
Yeah.
it's a strange feeling. And you know what, I think that you described something just there where you talked about feeling it building up. And
Uh-huh.
it's interesting because with a lot of clients that we work with, um, it looks like a light switch goes off when the thing works,
Mm-hmm.
right? But what happens is you're stacking these, like
Yeah.
you stack one
Yeah.
piece, then you stack another piece,
Yeah.
and it's not until all of the parts are in there that the thing works, right? Because
Yeah.
the way I'd like to describe a sales call is it's like a good movie or a good song. A good movie or a good song
Uh-huh.
is the sum of the parts, right? It's got
Yeah.
prosody, so everything is in its
Yeah.
right place. And a good enrollment call works that way, where it's got prosody.
Yeah.
And it's weird because in the initial phases of training, a lot of people think like, we've started training, why am I not seeing results right away? But
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like this night and day effect occurs when the training hits. It
Yeah.
stacks, it
Yeah.
stacks, it
Yeah.
stacks, it stacks, and then it's like, boom, now
Yeah.
it's on.
Yeah. Yeah. I so recognize that. And that is like dating too, of course, right? How I work with my clients, like I just can't find the man. And you have to stack, stack, stack. And then suddenly, as you say, boom, there he is.
Yeah, and it
Out
feels
of
like the
nothing.
it feels like the circuit completes. That's the best way to put it, is it's almost like a circuit, right? And there's these missing parts of the circuit, and you put one part in, and then it's like, okay, well, the current can go a little bit further. Then you put the other part in, and it could go a little bit further. And then once that last piece comes in, it's like, boom, the light turns on. It's really pretty fascinating to feel that. And it's nerve-wracking in that phase, especially as after you're 2-3 weeks in, and you've been really putting your time and energy and consistency in it.
And paying a lot of ads.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's really quite a shift to feel. And it's an emotional journey that sometimes it's hard to know what it's going to be like until you're really in it, and you're $5,000 into ads and no sales yet. And you're seeing deals that you could have gotten, right? You're seeing it like, that's an enrollable one.
I didn't look at that this time. That was different too. I haven't listened to a single call.
You didn't listen to a single call?
No.
How much better did that feel?
Amazing. It saves a lot of time. I hated listening to the calls because you get that feeling like, oh, they have to do this, But we have amazing communication, so I feel that I know what's happening. I really trust Cody to listen to whatever needs to be listened to. Saves me a lot of time, of course. And it also meant, that was a big difference too, Mike. I remember that when I was working before with salespeople, I would get so obsessed with helping them that I wouldn't be enrolling myself anymore. I would be taking calls, but I would not be in the right space anymore. And this time I was able to keep enrolling. Actually, I started enrolling even better. Well, Natalie and Katie were on. So that was different too. Yeah. But what did I want to say? I forgot.
It was about not listening to the calls. One question about the not listening to the calls, because I know in the past, like a thing that we commonly see, and sometimes I don't know how to describe this to people, because it's almost like you have to go through this process and feel these emotions to know what's right and what's wrong. Because what feels right is wrong, and what feels wrong is right. And that's what makes it confusing, is because the process is counterintuitive. But like what you described of, I would listen to the calls in the previous situations. Then I would want to support the salespeople. And then almost like that overarching trying to support then eats the salesperson's certainty. And it eats your own certainty too. And then that starts to compound between you guys. And then our effect is like, oh, if I just lean in and keep trying to train harder and do more training, that suddenly it's going to create the shift. But then it's counterproductive. And then here, this situation you described, you're able to pull out, you're able to kind of like allow it to happen. And then it naturally does with the right amount of support.
It's incredibly different. Now we're talking about it, I'm also realizing that I used to panic really, right? When the new rep wasn't enrolling, I used to panic, like, where is this going? Now I felt so much trust, I trusted Cody, you. If they say we're okay, we're okay. And I could just be supporting, my people. Just like if something needs to be said, somebody else will do it. I can just support them. And that's such a good feeling.
And what happens is what we talked about too at the intensive, right? It's like, because that's how you're showing up, is now I get to support my people. You're creating an environment of safety and trust, and you're showing up consistently. And then that gives them the certainty that they need in order to actually start enrolling. So then once it clicks. And just one thing to comment on, I think this is really powerful, is Natalie said, I can honestly say that this is the best sales job ever. Right here in the comments. She said, not only working for Klara, but having the training from Cody and Mike, it's the best sales training I've ever had so far, from the sales rep's point of view. And it keeps me highly motivated and engaged. It's amazing work that you guys are doing. And it's cool that, for you, it's got to be an amazing feeling when you can see your team members say, like, this is the best sales role I've ever had. But that comes off of the safety it comes off the trust, and it comes off the consistency that the way you're showing up as a supporting role, as opposed to this micromanaging, the tension that you described of that occurred. Oh, they want this, but and you know, that's not there. And so now you get the environment and the benefits that come out of it.
Yeah. And I think as you're describing it, what's really important is that my own enrollment skills have really upped over time. Also because I niche down in the marketing and everything, you know, from all sides. So I have this feeling like, you know, if it isn't all roses, right? After that first amazing week, there is some tough times again. But I kept feeling like, yeah, but if there's really a problem, I'll just take a few calls myself again. And, you know,
Yep.
there isn't really a problem. And that certainty is also really important.
Yeah. And when we do the other thing, right, that overtraining, that leaning in to try and create like the result and force the result, then we lose our own certainty more and more. It's really a nerve-wracking place to be. And sometimes you almost like, it's sad in some ways, because a lot of people will go to that place and then they just throw out the whole entire business, and they say, oh, you know, it's the market, it's the niche, it's it's this thing, oh, to heck with this business, it's more headache than it's worth. And they were doing really powerful work and they were doing really important work, but then they throw it out because they've lost so much confidence. And like, we see this too, because we see the salesperson's perspective more than most. We see when that happens, sometimes people can, like, the sales rep psyched out completely, and the sales rep loses certainty in themselves. They lose confidence, and we see that downward spiral goes really far sometimes. And both from the business owner and sales rep perspective, it's like going into that space. I don't know, it's not fun for anyone, you know?
It's such different, right? If you could take the downward spiral or the upward spiral. The end point is totally different.
Yeah. And it's all, it's just these little micro decisions. It's not this massive thing. It's just these subtleties that occur, and they stack up along the way. And it starts to create that momentum, and that momentum starts to be in your favor instead of against you. Yeah, it's a really neat process. And what have you been discovering now that you're spending more time evolving into, you know, CEO Klara?
Yeah, actually, I was totally surprised by what I discovered. I thought now I will doing all my marketing things, you know, the things I never got around to. But actually what happened was I discovered all those things in my life that I had been pushing aside all the time. Thinking, oh yeah, not now, I need to do this first. For 3 years, right? So my home was a mess. My personal life, I wouldn't say it was a mess, but there was a lot of things that really needed attention. So it was actually very overwhelming the first 2 weeks. I wasn't on the calls. It was like all of those things suddenly started asking my attention. It was shocking. But now it's 2 weeks later, and my house is painted. I had a professional cleaning group, clean the whole thing, organized, professional organizer. You know, so everything, I've been taking care of it now. I look 10 years younger. I feel 10 years younger. So that was the first thing that happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when the calls disappear, it's such a big void. It's such a big void, right? Like, it's almost like your calendar, you're like, what do I do with myself now?
Well, that was not the problem in my case.
Yeah.
It just came overwhelmed. It was like a tsunami. Oh, but this needs attention, this needs attention. You know, all the different areas of my life. I also discovered, like, you know, more money coming in also means more money is coming out, going out. And my credit cards were not up to that. So that was, okay, you know, that needs to be solved. I knew that for a year that needed to be solved, but now it's a problem. So, different things, all areas, they all needed attention. But it's so good because, those things are on your mind all the time, even as you keep pushing them away. And now it's like, yeah, they're being taken care of. And now I'm finding space to really tighten the marketing up and do the things I thought I would do straight away.
Interesting. Yeah. So you almost say you took care of everything at home first, and then now you get to go into that. Do you find, I know a lot of times people, when they're going through the process, and I know maybe you may have felt this early on, so I'm curious to hear sort of your journey and your discoveries with your relationship to building a team. And specifically, I remember at the live event, you brought it up and you're like, I don't even know if I want to have a team. So what has that journey been? What were some of the sort of almost the issues that you had prior when you were building teams, and maybe some of the traumas or the misguided beliefs or beliefs that you held that were limiting you? And then how have they shifted, and what has been the outcome there?
Yeah, great question. I get a bit of red cheeks, right? I had this belief, employees don't work. They just want money, they don't work. I hate to say it, but that was my belief. And of course, I was attracting those people, right? That's how it works. Not always, by the way. There were great people too. But when that belief is there, it somehow always ends up that way.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening now is so far from that, so far from that. When I had a bit of struggle getting the calendar filled, Katie and Natalie were so supportive, like, we just want to be here. We trust you. So it's totally different. And yeah, brings tears to my eyes.
I love that. It's so easy too, because like when you do have these misadventures with building a team, some of the first times, it's so easy to just say, to heck with it. It's easier to do it myself, or I'm going to do it myself because it's faster or it's more efficient. I don't have to pay anyone. And have you noticed that now also, like, having the team has made the actual work you're doing more enjoyable and more meaningful, because you get to share the wins with people, and that like the celebrations are no longer you almost in a way celebrating them yourself, but it's like a collective.
I was a bit on a dead end, right? And that's not a nice feeling. That there was no real future except just, I think I've literally done enrollment calls every week for 3 years in a row. I never took a holiday for more than a week, and often not even a week. And if I'd go on holiday, I'd still keep doing calls, right? It's a dead end. You can do that for some time, but you don't want to do that forever. So that's a huge shift. And yeah, sharing it is great. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I also meant like with the client wins, right? So when you watch like the clients get the wins and you get to go share them with your team, like I feel like it's a completely different feeling.
Yeah, that's true. It's like seeing them with new eyes again. I've gotten used to them, right? And then these new people are like, wow. And I'm like, oh yeah, that is really amazing.
Yeah. You almost forget because it's so second nature to you. Just these, like the miracle that is occurring in the work that we're doing. And then once you kind of wake up to it, it's like the same thing for us. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, it's just like an additional 50 grand a month in like 2 months. What a big deal. That's not that big of a deal. And then it's like someone from the outside is like, wait, you just said what? And you're like, oh my goodness. Yeah. It's wild to see your own work sometimes with that fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
Well, with respect to the team, what are now like the beliefs or the things that you find yourself thinking that have replaced some of those previous beliefs that, employees are they just want money? Like what now do you find yourself sometimes that pops up?
what comes up now is just, I love working with these people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what comes up is together we can get so much further, right? It's very classical, but I do feel that together we can get so much further. I am really a person who loves expansion. I think that's why I never totally gave up.
Mm-hmm.
In 2019, I was kind of trying to sell on the webinar, which was fun too, but then you run into other problems. There's always problems, right? But that motivated me actually to go back to high ticket, the classical way, and then to just really tweak it, right, step by step, and stop thinking that the golden thing will come, but just tweak, tweak, tweak. And then when it was really started to click and my enrollment rate went up and the calls were much more fun because all of them were qualified, you know, then I kept thinking of you. And like, I do want to go to the next step, and I just don't want to stay here.
I'm curious because I know in your case you wanted to come to the live event prior to
Mm-hmm.
deciding, okay, yeah, I'm ready. What happened at the live event that made you feel like, oh, okay, it's time?
For me, it was the other way around. I knew it was time. But I wanted to be sure that you all felt it was time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And it's interesting because like before when I was prepping for the interview, I said this to Adriana. I was just like, I think had you not come to the event, I don't think it would have worked out at the same level it has, because I think that like I very vividly remember looking and like seeing there's a few moments. One was when you saw the purpose of what you were doing in that fresh eyes again, and you like really got like, okay, this is what it's about all over again almost. And then the other moment was when you did the huddle and you were like, I want a team, because like you said that early in the thing, it's like, I don't know if a team's for me. And then when she did the huddle, I was like, I could do this. And that was such a big difference. And I think that it's made like all the difference in our work together.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. I don't think I would have gotten that idea, you know, what is really about the huddle, if I hadn't seen that live there. I'm so glad. And it was just in time before the whole Corona thing. I think I was back 1 week and then all the flights started to be canceled. So I was so happy I was there in time.
And that brings up actually a really interesting question. Like, what was going through your mind? Because I mean, you're building your team and expanding your business, and then it's all in the middle of Corona. So
that was something.
Yeah, what was going on then, and what were the things that kind of you became aware of?
The first thing that came up was, you know, Moose introduced these people. It felt so good. I was really feeling like this is going to work. I've tried it so often. It didn't work before. Now it's going to work. And then Corona hit. Dating, right? People needing to meet each other. So my first thought was, see, something always comes up to destroy it. But then it was a very conscious choice, like, you know, that is an old belief. I'm not going there. And I think it was one of the scariest things I did in my life, to spend all that money on Facebook ads, people who are not enrolling yet, in Corona time, and to really believe in it. But what I did, what really helped me was, you know, all my networks of people who are also into high ticket, and reading every post of somebody who was enrolling and getting it paid in full. And, you know, that I kept tuning into that. It is possible. It is possible. And then I think 2 or 3 weeks, and I wasn't enrolling either those first weeks of Corona. But then it started with me doing like a smaller enrollment, smaller program. And from there, you know, building up the trust again. But it took something, yeah.
I imagine. I imagine, like, with the team too, you probably felt it on the meetings, even that little tension that was there. And again, like, sometimes I feel like I beat this thing to death, but it's like without the huddle, if that tension's existing and you don't have that consistent cadence to have that contact, to have that communication, it's like it turns into something that we don't necessarily want it to become.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And what has been really helpful is seeing my clients actually getting amazing results. Our results during Corona are better than before. They were always good. Clients are really thankful for what we're doing, finding their partners. But during Corona, I think because the need is so big, but we also, the way I teach dating, actually it doesn't make much difference whether you have to social distance or not. We're really good at the dating apps. Dating is one of the areas which has gone online already, of course, before Corona. So seeing that and seeing the clients getting such amazing results also gave me a lot of confidence to just keep going.
it's interesting. I mean, like, something that we could perceive as like, oh, that's the end, or like this is going to totally take it out. And then here it is. It's like, from the other perspective, like the problem that you're helping people solve is, in a lot of ways, at least one part of the problem. There's more parts to the problem, I know for sure, but one part of the problem is loneliness, right? And that feeling like I don't have that connection, I don't have that companionship that I really want, and that I feel like I need in order to feel like to enjoy my life at the level I know I could. And that loneliness is only amplified by social distancing. And so with that amplification, it's like the work becomes even more important, not only to you, but to them. And then
and
their
to the
results get
man,
even better.
right?
And yeah, into the man. Yeah.
Yeah. So the man too are, having time, not being busy with everything, and time to feel, wow, maybe I would like a stable relationship. So from all sides and tuning into that. And for me, creating value for my clients is so important, seeing them happy. So that was, of course, one of my doubts with Corona. Can I still make them happy? But then seeing it happen really helped to keep doing it. And it's given me incredible confidence, If we can deal with Corona, start a team during Corona, I can do anything.
Yeah. That's, so true. And that's, we're blessed to be working in the type of business that we have, where we can deliver it remotely. We can work with our clients remotely, and that, the thing doesn't have to stop. And in fact, that you can grow through crisis. And that's really a testament to the power of the type of business that we're running.
Yeah. And for those things, it is essential to be part of a bigger community. When you're just on your own, I don't think I could have done that. But, my own networks, having you all behind me, all of that together, then we keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And it's interesting, right? Because like for us, I think that first week that Corona hit, a lot of buying slowed because people were kind of like, I need to get my bearings as to what's happening. But then after it was like a week or 2 weeks after it hit, then everyone's just like, well, let's just keep doing whatever we're going to do. And then they just kept like buying like normal. And then at that point, it was like, we saw all our clients start having record months, and it was crazy. And then it's like, everybody is sitting there, with their limited data set, right? So, because they only know their business, and we get sort of the back ends of all of them, and we're coming to them like, hey guys, like we're seeing this over here, like this thing's going. And then like, okay. And then their momentum would start to pick up, and it was like almost this cascading effect across.
Amazing time to live through.
Yeah, it really is. It's like this is one for the textbooks, in all the history books around the world. This is going to be in it, and we've lived through it. And grown
Yeah.
through it. So it's a really
Yeah.
cool moment.
Yeah. And for me, one of my clients who actually got into a relationship a few months before Corona, then decided to lock down with her new partner.
Oh,
And
wow.
then to read her post saying we had our crises, but with the tools I learned with Klara, we were able to deal with it. And now things are lighting up. We are saying to each other, we don't want to part again. We want to seriously live together. Those things are so amazing to hear back.
That's cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's see if we have any questions. Anyone have any questions for Klara? Let's see. If you guys do, put your questions in. What's up, Joe? Yeah, I'd like to take at least a couple minutes to hit a few questions if you guys have any. Overall, though, I mean, it's been very fun to watch your journey and to watch it over such an extended timeline. It's not just that.
You've seen it longest of all.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The very
it's so
first
fun
moment.
to watch. Yeah, it's so fun. And just, you are really tenacious in your pursuit of the building of what you want, and you hold the vision really clearly. And don't get me wrong, you still have your doubts, you still have your fears, you still have the beliefs that come up, but you're willing to observe them. And like, one thing I think that you do really well is you don't think that you're your thoughts and you are separate. And so you have the ability to detach and suspend your thought and then observe it and then qualify, like, is this belief true? Is this thing serving me? And is this really my belief, or is it just something that's existing? And you can let go of those things that are not serving you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Of course. And overall, I mean, the next phases that we'll have here in terms of going through it, it's like the sales team's going to grow. Then we're going to start to see how your time starts to go into different components and shifting into that CEO role more and more and more, to where, first you got to build the team that can get the work done. Then you have to build a team that then can build the team, which is a whole nother set of problems. And it's a fun set of problems, but
I'm not ready to go there yet.
No, but you got to know where the next thing is.
Maybe in a year it will be different.
Yeah.
Or in half a year.
You'll be surprised. I mean, I think you move pretty fast. So once you know what's on the other side, I think you get there faster. So, but yeah, you go from here to then, now you've nailed your system. So it's the system that solves the problem. You've got your people enrolling for you, gradually. And this might be the next challenge, is letting go of some of the coaching. And then it's like, oh my goodness, but the people are paying to coach with me, and I'm the one that's doing this coaching. But then when you really lean on the system, it's like the system's doing the work, and people aren't paying to work with you. They're paying for an outcome. And if the outcome can reliably happen without you, that's just a testament to the power of the system that you've built. And then who knows, is it cruise time? Like, yeah. Then you'll have a clean house, maybe take a cruise. Who knows what's next?
Well, if I take a cruise, I'll be the skipper. That's one of my dreams, to sail a sailing yacht across the Atlantic.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Absolutely. It's coming closer and closer.
We're getting there. I appreciate you taking the time. If anyone wants to find out more about you and the work that you're doing, where would they be able to find you?
Facebook, Klara Adalena.
Yep. And so overall, aside from there, do you have a website? Do you have anything where you'd want them to check out, or pretty much just on Facebook?
KlaraAdalena.com is my website. Now had finally time to move it to a different server, so it's fast. You just type it in and you get to see something. Yeah, LinkedIn. I never check LinkedIn, to be honest.
So Facebook or KlaraAdalena.com.
Facebook. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. I appreciate you taking the time out to do the interview and go through this. In like, I thought it was really interesting because at the event, I never expected you to do the interview with us. At the event, when you're like, I don't do testimonials, I'm like, all right. And then
it was not the
asked,
moment
like, oh my
for
God.
me. It was all
Yeah.
no, we didn't have any results yet. So I thought I
Yeah.
can't be really positive yet. But now that this is happening, I was really feeling, these guys are amazing. They're doing amazing work. And I love giving back to you.
Appreciate that. And Cody, Moose, all of them have been so stoked too on how you're showing up and the way that the process has been unfolding for you. And it's fun because, to know that this is only the start, right?
Yeah.
And once that 25K week becomes possible, then it becomes consistent, and then once it's consistent, then we crack our 100K month. And then from there, starting to incrementally get it better and better. And just how it goes. So
step by step.
Exactly.
Good. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you, Klara. It's been a blast.
Absolutely.
That's it for this week's interview. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy this interview, we do one like it every single week inside of our free Facebook group called 7-Figure Agency Owners and High Ticket Coaches. So if you're an agency owner, coach, service provider, and you're really wanting to scale to 7 figures and beyond, join us inside the group. It's coachingsales.com/group. Again, coachingsales.com/group. See you on the inside.